The band has since lost all hope under the pressure of numerous failures. Many people begin leaving the camp as they realize the end is near. Even Arthur has come to terms with the fact that the dream is no longer a reality, and all he wants to do is make the most of the limited time he has left. In order to free John from jail and reunite him with Abigail and Jack, he first assists Sadie, who has evolved throughout the course of the game into a terrifying outlaw. Then, Arthur makes an effort to assist Rains Fall in preventing a potential conflict between the Wapiti people and the US government. Eagle Flies, the son of Rains Fall, is a young man with optimism. Dutch perceives a chance in him to generate a sufficient level of distraction to enable one final major strike, the one he has been seeking throughout history. He wants Eagle Flies to attack a location of the American government. Dutch's strategy appears to be working despite its ruthlessness. In an effort to relieve the pressure from the Pinkertons, he confronts Cornwall and kills him. Eagle Flies leads an attack on the American government that ends in his death but actually causes a major distraction, despite Arthur and Rains Fall's best efforts to dissuade him. In order to support the tribe during the challenging period that lies ahead, Charles chooses to remain with them. The rival O'Driscoll gang's boss, Colm O'Driscoll, is eventually hanged in the meantime. In a perverse way, everything is beginning to go in Dutch's favor, and he has completely abandoned all moral principles. That's in part because Micah, who took Hosea's place as Dutch's right-hand man, led with Colm. Dutch learns of an incoming trainload of military salaries as a result of the Eagle Flies attack. The objective is to catch him, rob him, and then finally amass enough cash to successfully flee. Arthur reluctantly agrees to assist with this latest job because he doesn't have much else to live for at this point. At least for Micah and Dutch, who manage to take the paychecks, the attack is somewhat successful. John is shot during the robbery and is thought to be dead, but Abigail is apprehended by the Pinkertons in the field. Nearly everyone who still harbored hope, including Tilly, must flee as a result of the Pinkerton raid. Abigail is left behind by Dutch, Micah, and those who are still committed to Dutch, like Javier and Bill. Arthur and Sadie will work to save her. Sadie and Arthur were able to free Abigail after making a daring attack on the Pinkertons at Van Horn. They also managed to kill Officer Miller by slicing through the flames of hell. But in his pain, Miller revealed a startling fact. Micah, who had always been an ally, had actually been a Pinkerton informant, a traitor hidden among the ranks ever since they had returned from Garma. Prior to learning this new information, Dutch's partner Molly O'Shea had been charged with being the informant. Now that Abigail was secure, Arthur had to face Micah and Dutch and reveal the bitter truth. Dutch was completely taken aback by Micah's vehement denial of Arthur's accusations. Finally, Dutch sided with Micah because he had lost all confidence in himself. When John came back, he accused Dutch of abandoning him and the situation worsened. Dutch was now a different, unrecognizable man, unlike the one who had earlier deserted Arthur during Eagle Fly's assault on the military compound. Tension rose to a fever pitch when the Pinkertons suddenly showed up, forcing everyone to scatter. Arthur and John took refuge in nearby caves while Dutch, Micah, and the few people still loyal to Dutch managed to escape. John was persuaded to leave with his family and never looked back by Arthur. Arthur fought Micah, Dutch, and a large number of Pinkertons while aware that his time was running out in an effort to survive. Micah, on the other hand, was able to get to John, and the two engaged in a death match that had no clear victor. Dutch stepped in to stop an exhausted Arthur from killing Micah with a gun. Dutch resisted Arthur's efforts to persuade her of Micah's adultery. Dutch, on the other hand, did not harm Arthur but did nothing to assist him. Arthur, who was by this time severely weakened by his illness and incredibly hurt, realized that he had tried everything to change and had, in some strange way, been successful. Knowing that he had made every effort to change his fate, he passed away peacefully while looking out at the horizon. In that instant, tuberculosis took control. With the knowledge that he had made every effort to change his life and improve as a person, Arthur was at peace when he passed away. Years later, the game's narrative shifts to John Marston, who is now the main character. He tries to keep Abigail happy by ditching his old life and staying out of trouble, but the difficulties are overwhelming. The couple ended up on a ranch where John worked as a laborer. However, the past cannot be forgotten. A bounty hunter intervenes in John's life, and an attack on the ranch forces him to engage in violent property defense. This time was too much for Abigail. She couldn't take it anymore and left with Jack. Hurt but not broken, John wants to show Abigail that he can change. He has been working on the ranch long enough for the bank to offer him a loan to buy the land that Abigail previously said she wanted, Beecher's Hope. Along the way, he met his uncle and Charles, and the three worked together to transform John's dilapidated mansion into a thriving ranch. Abigail eventually got back with John, and she and Jack lived a relatively peaceful life for a while. During this time, John learns to be a better husband to Abigail and a more realistic father to Jack. Eventually, John officially proposed to Abigail and the two decided to get married. However, during this time, John meets Sadie again. The latter discovers Micah's possible hiding place, and soon after John and Abigail decide to get married, Sadie tells Charles and John that it's time to get revenge on Micah. Despite Abigail's protests, John decides to end this chapter of his life in order to truly feel free. All three rush to the mountainous area where Micah was hiding. Charles and Sadie were injured on the way, but not seriously. However, this leaves John to face Micah alone. Sadie manages to find him and tries to help John surprise Mick, but is captured and held hostage. Surprisingly, the Dutch appeared and a dramatic confrontation ensued. John blames Mick for all the horrible crimes he has committed against the gang, especially Arthur. The Dutch clearly saw what they were about to do, but didn't say much. Although he managed to walk away with a large sum of money and recover the loot from the previous Blackwater robbery, he seemed completely devastated. Surprisingly, the Dutchman decides to shoot Mia, getting his revenge on John once and for all. Regretting his previous choices, Dutch refuses the money and disappears without a trace. The final scene shows the disappearance of Charles and Sadie, the fate of the surviving gang members, and finally Abigail and John enjoying a quiet life at their Beecher Hope Ranch. The moving epilogue marks the end of a troubled era and the beginning of a hopeful future.
Thank you for tuning into Game Flash. If you enjoyed our content, hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all our latest releases. Don't hesitate to drop a comment with your thoughts and share the video with your friends. See you next time on Game Flash.